Today I'm replacing this 35-year-old dog fence, and it's got 5 common problems that you see in a lot of fences. I'm going to show you what the problems are, then we're going to take the fence out, and I'm going to show you some fantastic stuff that you can use to easily replace a fence like this and create a much better result. Problem 1. Bad end assemblies. Not only have we used posts that are way too thin here and tried to overcome it with a bit of concrete in the bottom, never a good idea, but we've also used a top rail that's way too short. Your top rail should be at least 2.4, preferably 3 meters long, so you can get a nice isosceles triangle on your angle brace. Otherwise, the whole end assembly is going to move over time and your fence is going to get really slack. Problem number 2, false economy on the wire choice. This is ring lock and it's only got 6 line wires and the picket spacing's 30 centimeters apart. This is really good for holding in a Great Dane, which, believe it or not, it did originally, but it's no good for most dogs that are smaller than that. They just push straight through it. Problem number 3 is trying to fix inadequate wire choices by putting more steel on the fence. You're not only increasing the weight of the fence, you're increasing the complexity. Short little pieces of wire can get caught on machinery as they go past, or short out your electric system if you have an electric wire on the fence. This is always the result of choosing the wrong wire to begin with, and it only makes the fence weaker and harder to maintain. Problem number 4, using electric braid as a permanent fencing solution. Electric braid is fantastic for temporary fencing and strip grazing, but it has a shelf life. Over time, UV sunlight not only degrades the plastic, but it increases the resistance of the wire, meaning it can carry less current. This electric fence is failing, and it's what's holding this whole fence together at the moment. Problem number 5 is simply complexity. If you have a fence that's this complex with 3 or 4 different systems in it, you've got all sorts of maintenance issues, you've got failures with braid being broken down by UV sunlight, you've got too much weight on inadequate end assemblies, you've got a combination of wires that get caught on machinery and get in the way, you've got standoffs that get broken by mowers. It's just a soup of problems. If you see a complex fence, the wrong decision was made. Now, there are plenty of choices for exclusion fences, both electric and steel. It depends on the application as to what you choose. Today, because it's a house yard, we're going to be using a steel exclusion fence solution, and I'm going to show you how the right choice to begin with can not only be more economical and easier to maintain, but look simpler and neater as well. So now let's pull down the old fence, get rid of it, and I'll show you some fantastic gear that's going to make your fencing job super easy. Rightio, on with the speed dealers. Let's start breaking stuff. Ah! Waste not, want not. Into recycling your gate fittings, a small pipe wrench can come in handy in your kit. It helps grip the shaft. Nothing grips the shaft like a pipe wrench. It's one of the things I hate about people putting cement mix in with their clay or concrete or whatever. It's an absolute ticking time bomb for the person who has to replace the fence, because eventually all fences have to be replaced and you don't want to destroy the ground that the new fence is going into. Oh, finally! This is a cyclone shovel. They apparently have a lifetime warranty. I sent photos of the damage to Cyclone and they refused to honour the warranty unless I had a receipt from 20 years ago when I bought it. Now we're replacing the old 6-foot end post with a stock post. These come in a 2.1 80 NB post. They're pre-drilled, so they're super easy to put together our end assembly. And that extra depth is not only required for a good end assembly, this one was way too small, but it's going to give us the extra bite because pulling this one out has disturbed the ground. And then drive your end post down to the pre-marked red line, but make sure before you start driving that your holes are all lined up with your fence, so all the bits and pieces go together. If you're working on your own, you can use the threaded brace as a guide to make sure your holes are straight with the fence line. You'll need some hearing protection for this next bit. Get your post straight after you've hit it about 4 or 5 times early on in the process, and it'll go down the hole much straighter. You have a much better result. Now that I've got the 2 strainer posts in at either end, the rest of the fence removed and the fence line cleaned up, even to the point of filling in the post holes, I can strain up a guide wire to get my new fence perfectly straight. Now I'm going with all steel for this fence, so I'm going to be using some stock posts along the fence line, and I'm going to put them in about 5 mil off the guide wire so that I don't bump it as I put the posts in. And that way they'll line up perfectly in the centre of these end posts. Once I've got them laid out, then I can finish off doing up my end assemblies. Now, because I'm using not only the stock posts stay assembly system but also their end posts, everything comes pre-drilled and is completely compatible. So tapping a new fence into an existing fence line is as easy as putting together Lego. Now the fence we're installing today is called an exclusion fence. We're trying to exclude dogs from livestock. A very important job. So I've turned to Murray stiff stay wire. I'm using stiff stay as opposed to ring lock because it is a lot stronger and it holds the picket wires perfectly in place no matter how much force comes on them. And this wire comes with a pre-installed footer which is 300 mil long, and it sits out 300 mil from the fence and stops those animals from digging underneath. So we're putting this on the side that the dogs traverse so that we don't have to run a lower electric wire to make this fence work. When you're running this wire out, it's important, if you can, to have it in the right orientation. It makes it a bit tricky flipping it over to get your footer down on the ground where you need it to be. But if circumstances don't allow you to run it out in the right way, all is not lost. You'll see this hinge joint section here. That folds down and your footer is automatically in place. Regardless of how powerful your strainers are, you should only ever strain up your prefabricated mesh to the point where about half the tension crimps flatten out. You don't want to completely flatten tension crimps. They're there for very important reasons. You want to be able to keep your picket wires straight with your posts. And the tension crimps are there to take up any undulations in terrain. They're also there to act as a spring when livestock hit it. Now I can put a lot of tension on this wire with these strainers, but I just don't need to. I find the easiest way to tie off your exclusion fence is to actually tie end knots out of plain wire around your post and then crimp onto the first panel of your exclusion fence using a tool like this to just put a little bit of strain in the slack wire between the strainer bar and the end post. It takes you a little while to do this, but bear in mind you're aiming for this fence to last 50 years or so. Now we get to take off our massive boundary strainers, which are a big help when straining these sort of fences. And All we've got to do now is add our 2 top wires, one of which will be electrified. The question I commonly get with short run fences is, why don't I just strain to the post and tie off at the post? Well, that works if your fence is over about 50 metres long, but for a short fence like this, you're going to lose too much tension in the slack that inevitably happens when you tie off to an end post and the strainers are back here. So what I do instead is I'll use a joiner like a spiral fast or a knot, and I'll put the knot really close to one of the posts so that if anything does break or go wrong, it's only a short section of wire that I've got to replace, and I get a perfect strain on the fence right from the beginning. So in a couple of hours, we've replaced a complex fence with lots of additions because we chose the wrong wire to begin with something that is truly one piece. This stiff stay mesh has a 2.8mm top and bottom wire, meaning you don't even have to have extra save wires to keep this fence strong for years to come. And because it's a 13 line wire fence, the apertures at the bottom are small enough to keep any dog in. By adding the electric wire at the top, we're keeping the large dogs from putting their nose over or thinking of jumping. And this fence with its skirt is going to stop any digging below and keep kids safe from the electric fence. This is truly a long-lasting, easy to put together and super simple fence that looks the goods. Now I guess I've just got to do the rest of it. If you like this kind of video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, because there's plenty more like this on the channel, and you might even find some new hobbies.